So, hello, this video is made for MAN 3705 International Negotiations Assessment 3. So, in this video, we are going to talking about the commercial investments. There are two parties in this negotiation. One is investor and another one is the ethical clothing brand EcoBody. So, I'm Yahu, my student number is 1047885. So, I'm here with Nurul to represent the investor.
Hi, my name is Nurul Hamdan. My student number is 104897747, and I'm here as a financial advisor for the investors.
My name is Trúc Anh Cao. My student ID is 104343337, and I represent the ethical fashion company EcoBody.
My name is Valmarie Engelbrecht. My student number is 10347355, and along with Anne, I represent the ethical fashion brand EcoBody. The negotiation will now commence. So hello investors, thank you for meeting with us here today. As you know, we are an ethical fashion brand called EcoBody. We were established in 2010 and we've been operating quite successfully now for about 10 years or so. We are completely Perth based, our factory is in WA, and up to this point we've only been selling our products and our clothing nationally, so within Australia. However, after the last few months and so, we've been actually getting quite a few requests from potential overseas customers asking whether we can ship internationally, whether they can get hold of our products, and this is something we're very proud of, and we, for that reason, actually decided to venture into becoming an international business. But for us to be able to do that and have the capacity to do that, we would need to really expand our WA building and factory, employ more workers, and so to be able to do that. And for that reason, we have come to you to ask for an investment.
So how much would you like us to actually invest in your new project?
So we're looking at currently we have a building of about 25,000 square meters, and we would need something almost 4 times that size to be able to ship internationally and operate internationally. So that would be about 100,000 square meters. I was saying that would, we've done some research, and that would cost roughly about $1 million. And then we would also need to employ 500 new employees at the start. And in order to sustain them until we make enough profit to sustain their wages, we will need around $400,000 to get them started. So in total, we're looking at about $1.5 million.
So let me say this first. When you first started your project, your business, we had invested around $500,000, so $500,000. And with your new project, we take into account of the cost production. We look at the compensation and the wages, and we looked into your financial review, your financial document, and you guys have been doing quite well. But as I said before, we take everything into account, and we don't think that you're going to be making any profits if you decide to go globally, internationally, if you become an international brand.
Yeah, so if you're worried about profitability, research has shown that the demand for ethical products is actually on the rise, and statistics show that up to 70% of consumers are actually making more ethical choices these days and choosing ethical fashion brands over fast fashion brands. And so we know in the short term it might be quite a big investment, but over the long run we believe it will be very profitable.
That's true.
So, as my advisors worry about, because we have already cooperated with so many companies before, and we also read so many annual reports in the past few years. So we think that so many companies, their cost structure actually will put more in the development and like the market research, but only a few just put on the cost of the labors and rent. But I just discovered that you guys really put a huge portions on the cost of the labor. So what we are really concerned about, like in the past, we usually will give the suggestion to the companies that you can move to like some places like China, the Southeast Asia, that you can cut down the cost. So I guess you can take this as well.
Starting to manufacture clothes in China.
Yes, and that way we can make more profit and actually become an international brand.
Yes.
So the thing is, we don't want to be seen as other fast fashion company who, with the mass production of cheap clothes, who cause tremendous environmental issues and committed like multiple human rights violation. That's why we want to be transparent about how our clothes are being manufactured, where our factory is located, and how our workers are actually treat it. We want to provide our consumer a clear picture of the whole making process, and maybe film it and advertise it, like vlog about it, because that's the whole thing about our brand. That's our whole reputation.
Yeah. Our reputation is to be ethical, and like we, you know, it just does not seem favourable for us at all to start manufacturing our clothing in a China factory. Just does not align with our brand image.
And so our customer knows that we actually cares about the environment and our workers.
Yeah.
Well, you guys claim to be a ethical brand, but at the same time, you're telling us, well, you want us to actually invest in your project. You want us to actually build more manufacturing factories. You want us to install new technologies. So with the manufacturing, you want us to actually cut down trees. And then in my viewpoint, in my point of view, that seems unethical, and I'm not sure about your viewpoint. I just think that the damages you're doing this project is as the same as doing it in China, manufacturing in China.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, if we do expand our WA factory, we will need to cut down a forest or more. But I guess you need to look at a cost-benefit analysis in that stage. There's often, you know, with any venture, there's often something that unfortunately will be quite unethical. But if you weigh them up, I mean, yes, we will be cutting down a forest, but if we venture into China and use one of their factories, there is so many more unethical issues that arise from that. So I mean, for instance, the Chinese minimum wage or the factory worker wage is incredibly low. We're not present in China, so we can't see how the workers are actually being treated. It's completely unethical in that sense. And that's not even the only thing. I mean, one thing we do with our brand is we actually recycle Australian clothing and use that to, you know, sell to customers. And in the China factory, they don't have that kind of infrastructure to recycle things. So the pollution will be so much more. So if you do a cost-benefit analysis, it's a lot more unethical to actually use a China factory than expanding our WA. And in the short run, I mean, we'll cut down the factory, but in the long run, it's going to be so much.
In the long run,
it's
so much more sustainable and ethical.
Well, if you're afraid of ethical issues, there are many ethical companies or manufacturing in China that you guys could choose from, and we were just wondering, why can't you contact them and then actually ask them more about the manufacturing process over there?
Well, we're well aware that there are ethical factories in China, but still there are risks behind it. First of all, we don't want our technology and intellectual property being stolen, and we want to prevent our pieces to be sold in the black market, because, you know, that happens. And we don't want to risk our reputation being affected by the fact that our products are manufactured in China. It just seems skeptical, and like as I told you before, we've been operating for 10 years, and our customer known us for having factories here and producing all of our products in Australia. So we just don't want to change it all of the sudden.
Our consumers know exactly where and how their clothing is being made. I mean, we all the time we use our social media to show them the factory, the recycling machines, the farms, the farmers, the sheep that they get their wool from. And if we don't have a presence in, you know, we won't be able to be over there. And even in an ethical factory, it just won't work, unfortunately.
Okay, so like we are really good at to see you guys do work so well, but actually we have received so many companies that request, like the Green Mama, the Recycle, Mr. Spencer's, because we know that they are all made the ethical clothing, and that's not like 10 years ago. The market's become competitive. So I just want to know what's made you special, what's made your brand to be competitive in this market.
Yeah, well, we actually do have something that we believe makes us stand out above other ethical brands. So we have a very special fabric that we use that the customers absolutely love. It's called Ozprim Merino fabric, and this is a very special and secret blend of recyclables and recycled materials and wools and all kinds of things like that. And yeah, we believe it really it differentiates us from other companies.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, but Australians are currently disposing 6,000 kilograms of fashion textile waste every 10 minutes. And that's crazy. And of course, we don't want to contribute to any of that ecological footprint. And that is why we'll also collect secondhand clothing from a consumer so that we can reuse it and recycle it and like as a raw material for our special material.
Yeah.
All this raw material and ingredient can only be found in Australia. That's why we don't want to move it into China. And in the short run, we work to prevent textile ending up in landfills, and in the long run, to close the textile loops in Australia. Yeah.
But how about just move the fabrics to the China? I mean, you can keep this side in the WA, in Perth, that's no problem. But you can move the fabrics when you just finish this side, you can just send to China. That's
So you're talking about manufacturing the fabric
Yes.
in Australia and then
Keeping
moving
your
to
secret
China.
safe.
Yeah.
Okay, and then well, as Anna was saying before, there is so much risk involved in that as well. I mean, you know, they might, and this even in ethical factories, this happens all the time, where they might tell you they've made 180 garments, but they've actually made 200, and they sell 20 of those garments on the black market. And so not only, I mean, yes, they won't have our intellectual property of knowing what the fabric is, but they can still steal our fabric and send it as if, you know, and there's just too many risks involved in that still.
Yeah, we understand your worries about, but like we said before, like we have with so many companies, and they always running like they move the manufacturing to the China, to some place that is cheaper than in WA, and we believe that it's really hard to like our company to invest, like to company to continue to develop in WA, but not manufacturers in the like some place like China, the Southeast Asia. So like our suggestion and our opinion is like we are sorry about that. We cannot to give you the financial support on this thing. I'm so sorry for that. Sorry.
So, like, one of the reasons why we came up to this conclusion is that although you claim that most consumers are now leaning more towards ethical brands, but it's just not enough to actually help and support and make profit for your brand if you go internationally.
So are we concluding that you will not be investing in our brand?
I'm sorry, yeah.
We will need to find another investor then.
Yeah, sure then.
Okay, thank you anyway.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. Yeah,
This negotiation has now ended.
So now we will be conducting our review of references. We will be talking about these 9 references. Thank you for your time. So the first reference that we'll be talking about is from Asia Link Business, Manufacturing in China. With this reference is we use it as a guideline to understand the China's competitiveness and use it to negotiate in having the Australian product to be manufactured in China.
According to Shen Wang Lo in some articles called The Impact of Ethical Fashion on Consumer Purchase Behavior, we learned about how fast fashion companies have negative impact to the environment and workers' rights. I've also learned that Australians dispose 6,000 kilograms of fashion and textile waste every 10 minutes from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation website.
So for my references, I used an article called The Robin Report, written by Judith Russell in 2018. This gave me information on the demand for sustainable fashion. I also used an article by Buildings Guide that informed me on the average cost to expand a factory with infrastructure and machinery. And then I used an article by Drew Harwell, written in 2017, to inform me about the Chinese factory worker minimum wage. Thank you.
Yes. So let's go into the reference. So according to the article, 6 things to know about a company published in 2017, we understand that the basic information should be noticed before we invest in a company. So inspired by the article published by the Jun Cahill, the small company besets by the high wages issues and the decrease of cost of the labors can make the company be more profitable. So refer to the advantages of manufacturing in China and the benefits it brings to your business, which written by the Nathan Resnick. China has the cheaper labors and the lower manufacturing costs, and this is why the investors suggest the company to change their locations of their factories.